Quick disclaimer, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here should be considered financial advice. Always do your own research and understand the risks before investing.
Yeah, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. So before we get to the shorter time frame, because we could have had a possible 1-2 setup form with this recent pump, obviously speculation, not guaranteed. But before we get into that, just want to talk about the larger time frame super quickly. Pretty much the same thing that we have been talking about for like pretty much the last 2 weeks. Since this low at 60,000, we have been tracking a larger degree A wave to the downside, where it has not confirmed that this has bottomed yet in A wave. It's totally possible we go a little bit lower. Remember, if we go lower in this A wave, this resistance zone also goes lower as well. Now, what we're tracking right now, before we get to the shorter time frame for this A wave, is whether or not it's bottomed. So what our scenarios could be is if this is a larger degree A, B, C to the downside, then this C wave would be a 5-wave move. So it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move to the downside, where we could test that 55 to 56,000 zone. Otherwise, if we already did bottom, I'm sure you could find 5 waves here, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a 5th like that. And this could be the start of our B wave now, where we work on that larger degree 3-wave movement before we will more than likely, not guarantee, just more probable at the moment, will get rejected within this zone and head lower for that C wave. Way too early to tell. Once we get confirmation of this B wave starting, then we can start to talk about those other scenarios and how it could play out. For now, we're just going to talk about this A wave, just because right now that's pretty much what we are tracking, and whether or not this B wave has started. So with this A wave, what we want to see is a larger degree 5-wave move. So what we got here, sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 1, A, B, C to the downside, where this could have also been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move, and then this could be just a very extended A, B, C to the downside. And what this makes up is a larger degree 1, 2, 1, 2 setup. Once we break below this low at 65,184, well, it becomes more and more likely that this could either be a extended A, B wave, and then we could start that C wave, where that would create a larger degree A wave, and then we can get that B wave support, and then that C wave up to that larger B wave resistance zone. So that's totally possible as well. Now, this is the 15-minute time frame, so all speculation. This is just what we're just looking at on the very micro waves for everything. So what could have been a possible 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move up in a first wave, and then maybe we could get a 1, 2, 3-wave move to the downside for a second wave to create a 1, 2 setup, where then we could get a third wave up. Remember, even with only 3 waves, it's totally possible, because it's only 3 of movement, we could still get rejected as well. There is a scenario that could be playing out for this as well, just because we have had basically a trend line just forming. So maybe it's something where we go back up and then we get rejected, and then we go lower in that A wave. That can totally happen as well. But what we want to see is obviously breaks above these swing highs as well at 69,000 and 70,000 as well, just to confirm that. Like I said, it's really micro what we're looking at right now, so it can always change as well. If a lot of tension right now with the Iran and US as well, so that can definitely play a factor into it as well. But once we kind of break below this line, then it becomes more likely that this B wave that we thought bottomed here, like we were talking about in the last video, is just going for an extension. But the lower we kind of go and the weaker the market looks, the more probable it will be that we start to head lower and lower. Now, we don't necessarily need this bounce up before we get rejected. It can always happen, as we can just fall, like we kind of saw back here. So wouldn't be surprising as well. But We go back to the micro time frame. We were tracking also this trend line rejection as well that Bitcoin broke out of. And what would be nice to see is a retest of this, and then we can bounce off of it as well. And then maybe this could be our rejection point. But if we break above these trend lines and swing highs, then it just becomes more and more probable that this A wave did indeed bottom. So confirmation to get that this A wave bottom is, first we need break above these swing highs at 70,800 more or less, 72,218, a break above these trend lines. We already broke above that trend line, and then we need to see 5-wave movements. We can get a 3-wave movement and we can still get rejected. That's totally possible as well. We need to see a 5-wave move up and then a 3-wave move down to confirm that buyers are in control. If we only get 3-wave movements, well then it's not enough and it can always fall afterwards as well. So current thesis is this A wave is either bottomed or close to being bottomed. Once we break above these swing highs and trend lines, then it becomes more probable that we are indeed in the start of this B wave corrective move. What we want to see for that is a 1, 2, 3-wave move up in an ABC. If we get this, sorry, let me regraph that. What this should be is a ABC, where this C wave could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move up, test resistance, get rejected in a larger degree B wave, and then we could start that larger degree 5-wave movement for that C wave, where we can enter this larger support region. Like I said, our base case is we can test these lows and highs that we had back in November and January. We don't need to, technically. It could just be a 3-wave move. Maybe we only test maybe some of these swing highs. Maybe we don't even enter this zone here as well, and then maybe we can get rejected from some of these swing highs. I mean, B waves are so unpredictable. It's even possible that we can even get a new all-time high and still get rejected in that C wave or that B wave, just because B waves can be so hard to track. Now, it wouldn't be probable that that would be the case and to get hopium by believing a B wave will do that. It's just something to always remember and keep in the back of your head. By seeing this choppy sideways movement, this could just be how B waves are. They're just super tricky to track, and what may seem bearish could end up being a more bullish B wave bounce, just because the reason why they are hard to track, or in this case they are, it's a counter trend move. I mean, we fell over 50%. I mean, it really isn't going to be easy to just get a low here and then just have a massive rally into resistance before we get rejected. That's not how buyers work. That's not how the market unfortunately works. Usually what we need to see is something like this happen. Sideways action. Buyers are looking to see who's in control. Buyers and sellers are fighting, seeing what will play out before a move is picked, whether we go up or whether we get rejected and go lower. So me personally, obviously not guaranteed, not financial advice, just speculation. When I see movements like this, it makes me think that it's a counter trend rally, just because it's sideways action and no one really knows what's happening. But then again, with fourth waves as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fourth waves can also be super tricky, or counter trend movements that can often be sideways and weak like this as well. So that's also a possibility. But we pretty much just have to let price do its thing, let the buyers and sellers fight it out, and we will just kind of have to wait and see. That's how the market is, unfortunately. Patience, and it gets boring trying to get a counter trend move. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for this video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.